Yes. And well, I'm really happy to have you again here with me today, Jobeth. You know, you're a very accomplished person. You've made a lot of strides. You're one of the few individuals that I know who has gone through so many degrees and has accomplished the law degree at perhaps the most trying time in the country. So, the COVID situation, the change of oil prices, the crash of economies, you've done all this throughout that situation. So, before we go into your current foray into law, why don't we go through your very colorful history way back? You are an engineer, an MBA, you're finishing a doctorate. Why don't you walk us through that and share with everybody that experience and how it meshed with law school, and inspire others who are similarly situated?
Okay. It started when I was around 10. My brother was an electronics engineer. God rest his soul. My brother was an electronics engineer, and my uncle was a TV technician, right? TV repairman. So at the young age, I saw them do what they do, and then I was impressed. Now my brother had so many cool projects that just electronics back then. Of course, when we talk about electronics now, it's cell phones and cell phones and iPads and whatnot. Back then, electronics was in a way simpler but more esoteric. Uh, he had a Citizens Band radio, and it was amazing that you could talk to someone so many miles away without using the phone, and then you could hear many people. So my kuya exposed me, and then he had one of the projects that I can clearly remember was this clap switch. Okay, so it's like you clap once and the light turns on, and then you clap twice and the light turns off. And it will not turn on by shouting. You can shout, but it will not turn on and off. I mean, it was amazing. When you're 10 years old, you see things like it's like magic. It's like that was magic. So as early as about 10, 11, I said to myself, I'm going to be an electronics engineer just like my brother. So there was nothing else. So I completed my first electronic project when I was about 11. Simple AC/DC adapter, but back in the 80s, that just being able to replace a battery with something you can plug in the wall, that was amazing. That was already wow. To be able to do that at 10, and then um, I went to school bringing a small electric fan that I made myself. That's pretty common these days. You can buy it off some dry goods store, but back then you had to make your own. So I made my own. I kind of became a legend back in grade school because of those things that I made with electronics. And in high school, because that didn't stop. I just kept on, doing projects. It was my hobby. It was my passion. So in third year, they plucked me out of practical arts class, and they had me make the PA system of the school. Okay, so I assembled the PA system of the school, and in return, they made me a CAT officer without going through the CUCC training. So there. So few months forward, I applied with Mapua and UST, but at the time, UST took all of the places in the board exam, the 1986 board exam. They took it also. Said Mapua, and then my crush went to UST, or at least took the exam. So I said, okay, that's a sign. So I went to UST, and unfortunately, my crush didn't make it. So so there started the journey. Finished it, and luckily I passed the board. It took me too long. It took me 7 years, but I was already working. Uh, by the time I finished my fifth year, my sixth year, I started working already, and so I just was just passing requirements to get my diploma. Um, During while doing that, I was also doing advanced ROTC, so to make me a reserve officer of the AFP. So that's college,
You reached
and then
captain, right?
no, just lieutenant.
Lieutenant.
But I would qualify for a higher rank if I applied for it, but maybe not. Anyway, so after college, so I started working in the telecom industry, and we were talking about how I got into law school. During college, I already felt a sort of call, which I can't explain really. It's like my talents were in communications. I could write well, I could speak well, fluent in English. My talents were not for engineers. For engineers, I would have either been a journalist or a priest. All right, and I was really poor at math, so I just survived. It's amazing how I got through engineering. But anyway, as I was a cadet officer, we were jogging around the faculty of civil law. We chant something like, "You you go to school for 8 years to be a no republic." I was mean to lawyers or to would-be lawyers, but I felt some sort of envy. It's like I wanted to go. Maybe that was my world, but it was so far away, and I wouldn't burden my parents uh, to send me to school for another 4 years. So wipe out. So I graduated, passed the board, went into the telecoms industry, and in 1995, the next call to go to law was at a PETEF meeting, Philippine Telecom Enterprises Federation, something like that. So even as a young engineer, I was the one being sent to these industry meetings. So I was together with AVPs, VPs, sometimes CEOs. And then here, me, lowly engineer too, representing Islacom. So these meetings are like cocktails, no? So there's some wine, there's some food, and then these people. It's a small industry, so everyone knows each other. So they keep on talking, even when someone is at the podium presenting. They go da 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 da. But when this engineer, who was also a lawyer, took the podium, everyone just stopped and they listened. It's like it's like an angel passed by. And I said, wow, he could like capture everyone because this guy knew um, a wide angle. He could see a wide angle of the industry. He is competent in both the technical aspects and on the regulatory slash legal aspects. And so everyone just stopped and listened. And I said, wow, he's something. So moving on, next few years after I exited the telecoms industry, I went into business. One of my side businesses was um, fixing electric guitars, making them sound better. So once in a while, I get clients who are lawyers, and then they come in this, spanking barong or suit, and coming from work, and say, "Wow, these guys are something." And I don't know. It never crossed my mind when I was younger, but there was this sort of envy that I felt. It's like, wow, what if? What if? And the funny thing is, when I was during that time of my life, I had the time and I had the money. If I wanted to go, it was just a matter of, just saying, let's go. But I didn't. So the next twist in my life was when a loved one died. And then one of the people who helped me out was a lawyer, a female lawyer, a lady lawyer. Um, it was okay, but when there were times that she'd quarrel with me, when we'd quarrel, she has this nasty habit of bringing me to the law where she can pound me. And I couldn't, with my MBA and my engineering, I couldn't, I was helpless because she took me to her playground, then she pounded me over there. I mean, I said this is really something, And then there are other people aside from her, like you. You went into law, and I said, God damn, what does Joey need that for? He's got a PhD under his belt, and we have a thriving business. I mean, you certainly didn't need it. Okay, okay. And then, but I still resisted until the final straw was when my ex-boss at Buy and Tell called me in for coffee. And then he said, I thought he just missed me or something. But when I got there, when the coffee was served, the first thing he said was, Jobeth, let's go to law school. And then I said, God damn, what got into you? um, we're at the time I must have been like 42 already. We're in midlife, I mean, this isn't a time to start something that big. It's a monumental project to go to law school. And then he said, that's precisely the point. Um, People will not know that we are new lawyers because of our age. But that was the last straw because it was like a pattern pushing me into law school. Even the choice of schools, even San Beda, I cannot go into details, but when I first set my foot at San Beda, the things I saw there were symbols that related to me, as if telling me, yes, you're home, you're in the right place. So I took all of that from 1988 to 2012 as a sign. I should go. This is where I should go. So I said, what the heck? Even the money. In 2012, I had the money for only 2 semesters. Then a windfall came, which would have covered my entire stay. So, oh my God, I mean, it was serendipity or synchronicity. What's our term for that? Or Christians will call it providence. I mean, it's a sign, unmistakable, unmistakable. So, okay, someone up there is really pushing me to do this. So I just went, and at the time also I was depressed because a loved one died and I was at the brink of suicide. So I thought to myself, maybe I'll go to law school, use it as my occupational therapy, something like that, and it worked. I mean, I drowned my grief in books and cases, and it was something to do. You can't be, in a way, you'll be depressed. Sometimes law school is depressing, but it takes you away from the real world, and it submerges you in another world. So if you get depressed, it will be because of your teachers or because you had a bad recit or bad exam. You're not depressed because of the causes given to you by the real world. So it worked for took me about 3 years, but I pulled out of that depression, and so there. And then made it the fourth year, repeated fourth year for 2 more years. Certain subjects. It took me a while because San Beda is it's really difficult. I mean, maybe I'm not that smart, or maybe I'm not that lucky. Whatever it was, it wasn't a walk in the park. It wasn't my MBA. I can't even remember studying that hard. Not even while I was in engineering at San Beda. If there are exams, I'd start studying for the exams 2 weeks um, before the exam date. No, I mean, there's still school, so you go to school, you study for the next day, and then you study. You take a portion of the coverage for the finals or the midterms, and then you study that. So I had that 2 week lead time to study for exam. I mean, I never studied that hard in my entire friggin' life. So it was that hard. San Beda is that ruthless, ruthless. There's no other way to describe that school. So there, eventually, by the grace of God, I made it, and I took the bar. I passed it, and I'm here now. That was the journey.
Paniero, you
But,
you you probably heard from many jaded lawyers and other individuals who entered law school that the ideal background would be psychology or political science. You come from a very scientific background, engineering, and then masters in business. Would you say that this was an advantage or a disadvantage for you while you were studying for law school?
I think it's both, kinda, because the training in engineering does not involve too much memorization. Too much. I mean, of course, like in architecture, your undergrad now, you memorize the formulas, and you know how to apply them. All right, so that's our world back
Mm-hmm.
there, But we are not forced to memorize how many bullets were caught, were captured in that search warrant procedures, and we don't have that. I mean, so that's a disadvantage. We weren't trained to memorize words. Okay, we weren't trained to enumerate, etc. No? So the only thing I remember memorizing in engineering school were formulas. Okay, so uh, but here the volume was just amazing. So that's our disadvantage. Sorry if I'm putting you in there. But the advantage, on the other side, the advantage of engineers and architects and STEM people is that basically we are trained to be problem solvers, right? So I mean, it goes everywhere from math. You start an equation, blah blah blah, and then this is wrong, and then you start going back, s- finding out what's wrong. Or if you're coding, no, you're making a piece of code, and then the output ain't right. You go back to your code, and so basically, STEM people are good at analysis, at troubleshooting. So that's where that's where we shine when we're made to analyze. But in law school, with the memorization, I don't think STEM people are so fit for that. So maybe the poli sci guys are more fit for law because they heard it before. Especially the legma people, of course, they had a taste of it in the undergrad. So in a way, they are more suited. All right. I don't think engineers were meant to be lawyers eventually. So you and I we're kind of different.
Paniero, would you say analogically then that, say, medical doctors, surgeons, and nurses would have a difficult time transitioning into law school if they decided to go for law school in the same way that you, as an engineer, went to law school and well passed with a good
Well, I think I think doctors would do better than engineers in law school. In fact, in of course, in my what's it, 1 month as a new lawyer, I've only seen where we have lawyers groups and all that. I've only seen 3 or 4 other engineers slash lawyers out of that mass of Just the 2019 batch was
Mhm.
2,000 plus, only four engineers slash lawyers. So it's kind of rare. Uh, but doctors, we got a lot of doctors going because there's a certain synergy for doctors and the law. Like if you're a doctor slash lawyer, you can go into medico legal, and
Mhm.
the pay is wow. No, you just cut up
Astronomical.
someone, it's 50,000 pesos, easy money. So um, uh, they have a very strong economic reason to go to law, and their training is also full of memorization. So I don't think doctors would have much difficulty going into law. Certainly, they'll do better than engineers, because man, the first year of San Beda was really the biggest shock of my life. Here's the thing: I'm not the type who quits. You know, Sometimes even if it leaves a really bad taste in my mouth, I just finish it, and then once it's done, I walk away. That's but my training in ROTC just taught me not to quit. We even have a point to memorize, and when things go wrong, as they sometimes
Mhm.
will, in the road you're trudging, it seems all uphill. They drum that into us. Don't quit. Just don't quit. I mean, and even in battle, we had a short taste of that. Even in battle, um, well, the worst one of the worst things you can do is cower in fear. But because there's a huge possibility that you'll get shot. Okay, so what they tell us, yeah, you can get shot, but here's the thing: until you are taken out, just keep on shooting, keep on running, and keep on hiding. Uh, you do not quit. You just go. You keep on going. If you're taken out, then yeah, okay, that's the end of the road for you. If you get wounded, you get injured, or you get killed, then. But before that happens, just keep on fighting. So that's a training that my military training gave to me. So even at San Beda, when I sometimes go to school cussing, spitting. uh, there were days I really hated it, and I hated the teachers. But no, quitting wasn't an option. They had to take me out if I was going to stop. All right, so there, and eventually, by God's grace, I made it by the skin of my teeth. By the way, because the QPI the QPI kept going higher from first to second, second to
Yeah.
third, third to fourth, and by some friggin' miracle, every year I made it despite the odds. So it's really every year that I made it was a sign that I'm supposed to just keep on going. So there.
Panero, that culminated in a one take bar, right? Imagine that.
Yeah, yeah, it did.
Amazing. So, given that, and because you're truly a special case in comparison to many other individuals, working student, balancing your business as well as your employment and law school, what would you say would be the best practice for people similarly situated as yourself to hurdle law school, the first 4 years, and the bar exam? How would you
Uh,
advise them?
okay. If you're a working student, all right. This is an opinion, of course. No? This is an opinion because I wouldn't know how it goes um, in the other schools. I've been to only one school. I have no point of comparison. But from anecdotes, tales, what I could say is, if you're going to work, or you need to be in business, a lot of times, you have to choose a school that's going to be friendly to your schedule. Um, okay, I'm gonna name them. Do not go to Ateneo. Do not go to UP. Do not go to San Beda. they will kill you
You just hit the both of
unless
us.
you're
And
yeah, they will kill you if you're working. uh I was doing it just so happened that my business, when you're in business, you get to control the pace. You get to control how many hours you work, um, how fast you work, how late you're going to sleep. So a lot of things are in your control when you're in business. That's not the case when you're working. So if you have to be in the office 40 hours and you have to be at school for what is it, 15 hours a week or something. But the thing is, uh, 1 hour in school should be equivalent to at least 3 hours on your study desk.
mhm.
So, how many hours is that? There's only so much within a week. So, it's a matter of balance. Um, uh, it's a matter of balance. Do not go to these killer schools if you can't afford it. You can't afford the time because, or unless you're particularly gifted, you can absorb stuff quickly, then maybe. So it's a case to case basis. This is just an opinion. This is just uh, if you're a working student, you have to find out what your center is, what your balance is, how you can manage things. At the end of the day, it's all about management, time management, distance management, sleep management, food management. If you can find all that, find your mix, then you'll make it.
Would you be at liberty to recommend specific schools for people in your situation that
Um,
could be friendlier?
yeah. These are anecdotes. Okay, I wouldn't know how it is in the provincial schools, but UE and Arellano are very working student friendly. Um, I understand that Arellano even has a program for working professionals. The classes for those are Saturdays and Sundays. Oh, it's gonna be tough because one whole day from morning to late afternoon, it's packed with subjects. So it's gonna be tough. And then tomorrow Saturday, and then tomorrow Sunday, same. So I don't know how exactly you study for that kind of schedule, but the class days are weekends, so it's away from your working time. Then there from the time you get home, manage again your stud time, etc. So it's a matter of management. If you can hack it like that. UE, now the other schools, I believe UE is very lenient when it comes to enrollment. So you can take as much or as little of the subjects as you want. You won't get attrited because of it, because at San Beda, if you stay for 6 years, even if you're not failing, you're gonna be attrited. So, so there, the residency period is only capped at 6 years. So it's not really very friendly for working professionals. And the thing with San Beda also, um, the teachers just suddenly change schedules. It's like your schedule is supposed to be at 4 p.m. Suddenly the teacher will call the beadle and say, "Oh, we have to do it at 12 because I have a meeting at." So if you're working, that's really gonna cause chaos. So there was a time up to second year I was teaching at Benilde. Okay, and I managed to arrange things such that um, my class hours as a professor and my class hours as a student would be, but the teacher would just ping pong the schedule, and I couldn't attend her classes because at my teaching job there are like 30 people waiting for one of me, and in my student role there's 30 of us waiting for one of her. Okay, so obviously I had to prioritize the job. So there. Well, that's just maybe my work ethic or how I weigh things. So there. Some schools will really throw your work life in chaos. So I think Arellano doesn't do that. So when they say the classes start at 5:30, that's what happens. So some other schools that they don't do that. Okay,
So
so
your
there. So
recommendations for the schools are Aureliano, UE. So that will be the first step for people like you and myself. And so once they get in, what would you say would be some of your secret sauce methods of hurdling all the memorization, getting all the analysis in, and ultimately passing the bar? If you could name top three suggestions for
well,
people entering.
here's the thing. I've been out of the academe. I've been out of studying. So well, not really. I took up MSE at the UP. So, but it was just it's different. It's like a course is made up of presentations. So your classmates will present, then your turn will come up. You present. You just keep on presenting. There are no exams, so except for the math. So really different. The ball game is really different in law school. Law school is really ruthless, very ruthless. So I had to study the. I had to study techniques. Okay, that's one. So I had to study that memory palace thing. Didn't work for me, by the way.
Photo
uh,
reading, did you try that?
the what?
Photo reading. No.
Yeah, I did, and I
Okay.
in the truth is I don't know if it worked or not because I wouldn't gamble my recitations on photo reading alone. No, so I did photo read because you got that what is it, book or memory, then photo read. Okay, photo read. There was even another one like very similar, Zox Pro.
Yes.
Zox Pro. So I did Zox Pro. I did alphanetics. Okay. I did the speed reading, using the. So I had to study all of that. But at the end of the day, I still go back and then I memorize. Now the enumerations, the definitions. There's no friggin' way around it. There's no friggin' way around it. And then, uh, some people I think are blessed with photographic memory. I'm not one of them. So another thing was because I entered law school at 42. I was turning 43. So it's kind of late age. I wasn't really confident about, well, I know I'm smart, but the oomph needed for something as massive as law school, I wasn't confident if I had it, if I still had it anyway. So I started taking nootropics. So Nopep, Piracetam, Oxiracetam, uh,
Ramiracetam.
Bromiracetam. Yeah, what I did in first year was that I bought 2 kilos of lecithin from our favorite chemical supply, and then all of the nootropics come as powders. I suspended all of them, including the stacks, the vitamins. Suspended. I suspended it in mixed in, and then that 2 kilos lasted from first year to the bar exam. So to the bar
4 years.
exam, not just because I it took me 6 years to finish. So that 2 kilos, because you need only so little and it tastes horrible anyway. So so that's one of the things. And then one of the things you have to manage is sleep. Um, when I was in college, I had this bad habit of cramming and not sleeping. Even to my board exam, there was on the first day I didn't sleep. That is horrible. That is horrible for long-term memory. So you have to manage the amount of time you sleep. So you won't have too much of it. Maybe when you're in law school, you'll have 4 or 5. You're lucky to have 6. Okay, so you gotta accustom your body to that reduced amount of sleep. Um, so there. What else? Basically, that's it. And just study like there's no friggin' tomorrow, and pray. There. That's another secret sauce. Maybe the atheists won't. But at Sanbeda, our motto is ora et labora. Pray and work. Okay. So for the things you can control, such as studying, coming to school, coming to school on time, etc. For the things you can control, that's the labora portion. For the things you cannot control, that's the aura portion. That's what you pray for. That the teacher would ask you the questions you know. Uh, that she come in and in a good mood, so that that when the teacher shuffles the class cards, you won't get called if you didn't study, etc. Those are the things you pray for. Okay, uh, but basically just come in prepared always, and then pray. There's this specialty prayer, the one to Saint John Cupertino. Oh boy, I prayed. I'm not a very prayerful person, but like I said once, there are no atheists in San Beda College of Law. Everyone prays. Yeah, so those are the secret sauces. It's like the formula of the Americans. Just hard work now. You pray and hard work.
What you said really resonates. The fact that there's no shortcuts. You can't rely on photo reading. You have to hit the books. Physiological changes, good sleep, proper use of nootropics, and well, those are things that can help individuals. But one thing that some people will realize about you if they look at the internet is you are renowned for, law of attraction. Would you say that knowing certain techniques and the law of attraction and manifestation is something that can also help go through law school?
Um, I will be lying if I said that I didn't, use them. Because it's like I said, there are no atheists in San Beda, and if you know a thing or two about LOA or radionics, psychotronics, manifestation, you are going to use them. If if it only gives you this fighting chance, or that's how desperate Sanbeda can make you. Sometimes, you'll sometimes try to pull every friggin' rabbit out of the hat. So yeah, I pulled the. In fact, I made a powered rad box that's just dedicated to my cognitive abilities and to my studying. It was dedicated for that. So it had manifestation mantras playing 24/7, especially during the bar. Especially during the bar exams, it was on 24/7. So yeah, I did resort to that, but you know, uh, I would hardly advise anyone to you know put their put their bets on just that. There are no shortcuts. These are just like prayers that
Right.
may or may not be heard. So yeah.
The great ones can choose to ignore unless you're persuasive, which you are. And as we can see, one take bar. And if you were to look back all of what you've gone through, first day of law school, if you were to whisper to your ear, your first year law student the self, is there anything that you would say or tell him to change?
Yeah, it's like well, I wasn't exactly a green vegetable when I came in. I was okay, if you allow me to say it, I was kind of seasoned. You know, I was a
Right.
seasoned veteran of telecoms industry. I was a professor. I was. It's easy to get cocky, and if I could go back to my freshman self, don't get cocky, dude. this is this is a different ball game. You humble yourself and think that you're the dust of the earth as you as your feet enters San Beda University. You're nothing. You're the dust of the earth. You're gonna slap you around a bit, and you're gonna take it, and you're gonna like it, because there's no other way around it. You know, without humility, you'll never learn. So, in the entrance interview at San Beda, the the guidance counselor said, "How's this gonna work? You're even older than your professors, and you have a master's degree. You have an experience. How is this gonna work?" I said, I come to San Beda as a supplicant. You have something I want, and before you give it to me, you're gonna ask me for something in return, and I'm willing to give that because that's the way it works. So they ask for my diligence and my conformity to the rules. So there, I gave it to them, and they gave me what I wanted, my diploma.
What you've
That's how
shared is
it works.
truly pragmatic, very wise, and very similar to what Bruce Lee once said that if you want to learn a new martial arts, you have to empty your cup totally with humility, as you've asserted. And that's the only way that you can learn fully and without biases. So, right now, you are at this point, global pandemic. Many people are jobless. Possibly law firms have been laying off. What would you advise, given your wealth of experience, your multiple degrees, to other people who are out there right now, just graduated law school and looking for a new career?
Well, see, when I passed the bar, when I took the bar, I had to fly to the U.S. To come to the aid of my mom, and then I got stranded there because of the travel restrictions. So I could lay around the house and do nothing. But what I did was try to build a not a law career, but do something. A lot of doors will be closed to you. No, so find the ones that are open and be humble enough to take it. Like my first job in the U.S. was a grocery boy, so I was a meat clerk. It paid $13 an hour, and amazingly, it gave me my share of the rent, gave me some good food. It even gave me a better physique because it kept on lifting things, 50 pounds. So just stay positive, do what you can. Don't fret the closed doors. Look for the open ones. No, so here I was, JD, an
Yes.
MBA, an engineer. I was dishing out meat. No,
Humility.
and then something. Yeah, it's always the key. Always, everywhere. Don't be too cocky. Sometimes I do get cocky when people try to put me down. Very few people can. So okay, let's not go there. But but in general, everything in life is achieved with humility. Academics, you have to be humble enough to start at the bottom. You have to be humble enough to become an online seller if you can't find a job, and
Hmm.
etc. 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 So that's just a philosophy. It might work for others, might not. It, that's on them.
Well, it's carried you this far, and it's given you the mettle and the attitude that let you hurdle everything despite the situation where people are committing suicide. So, yeah, that what you've just shared is something that people might have a hard time stomaching. The
Yeah.
humility of it. And yeah, well, you're now at that point, and perhaps in 1 to 2 years, you might even be taking your New York or California bar. Are you planning to start your review as early as now, or will you be focusing on getting hired first at a law firm or focusing on business?
Um, the thing is, when in your 40s and you've done most of the things, well, I've done most of the things I'd said I'd do.
Yes,
Even even lawyering wasn't part of that. I mean, I was
this is
good.
an
I
extra.
was I was yeah. This is already extra. So I'm at the point in my life where I can only make broad stroke plans. But what happens is just what comes downstream. I just go with the flow. So my broad strokes, of course, is to take the California bar. Why California? Because Philippine lawyers are allowed to sit in the New York and California bars. Okay. In fact, in New York, it's even more lenient. You don't even have to be a lawyer. You just need to have a JD.
Mhm.
Okay, you just need to be a law school graduate, and they will admit you into the bar. In California, you will need to be a practicing lawyer admitted to the bar of your country. Okay, so why California? I've been asking around. I've been weighing stuff. They said that New York, the weather is really harsh. The the pace is really quick, and it's like that's why a lot of people die of stress in New York.
Mhm.
So I decided to build my pace in California, and then when I've gotten up to speed, then maybe take the New York bar next. So there. The thing with the California bar is that it's already remote. It's online. You can even take it while not there. Okay, you can take it from here. I can take it in Chicago, where I plan to go maybe for a few months, etc. No? So there. Even the review, you don't have to be anywhere but where you are. The review is totally online. So it sounds good, right? I mean,
That's new to
so
me. So end to
yeah,
end, it will allow you to take the bar examination remotely.
yeah. This is just a COVID-19 development. It used to be as early as last year. You had to be in LA
Okay.
to take the bar. But because of COVID, they changed things such that you can take it anywhere. So you'll download the test app. Once you open it, it will close everything in your. I don't know what else it does. Maybe it will turn your camera on, and so people can see you, etc. etc. So uh, it's also new to me, and I don't know how it's gonna go, but it's exciting, right? You can take it from anywhere. Um, so there, I'll do that. I'll do New York. I'm gonna work whatever comes along, maybe as a driver again or paralegal, whatever comes along. Just take it. It's no use to just keep on insisting. No, I'm already a so and so forth. I should be a. Uh, People like that don't get too
Don't get
far.
hard. That isn't pretty good EQ if you were to think about it. What you are approaching from is the most pragmatic and I would say holistic way to tackle the situation. You've evolved.
Thank you.
So, in closing, and obviously, you've seen that every decision you've made to this point has served you well. Are there any last bits of wise words that you would say as an engineer, a lawyer, business administrator, to people who are now facing massive changes in the world, not just because of global pandemics, but because of the way that people might even be replaced by artificial intelligence?
Well, just like what they say in the military, you just don't quit. Keep shooting, keep running, keep hiding, and pray.
And
Ora et labora.